Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later, as right now we've got something a little different to check out. Yes, if you're a Bayformers fan, or indeed a masterpiece collector, I'm sure you may be familiar with this little lad, who is of course MPM-9 Jazz. But today we've got a bit of a special custom attempt at this toy, all decked out with a new paint job, so we're going to be checking that out in hand. Now, this special project comes from the one and only Melazoma Custom Repaint Lab, who is a Japanese Transformers fan and makes some rather lovely looking customs, just like this one that we're going to see today. You can check him out on Twitter as well. He's at BFQEO. I'll put a link to his Twitter in the video description for today. And really, yeah, cannot wait to check out this toy. I had a little sneak preview myself already, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Now, if you are interested in what you see today, do check out the artists themselves. You can see all of their details on the little card just here. And as I say, I will put some links in the video description as well. And it's perhaps worth me mentioning that I'm a big fan of this toy already. This is the original, the official version, of course. And I do really like it. I mean, it's quite a small little thing, very intricate. I'm not going to be doing a full overview of the toy and its many features today. We're going to be focusing solely on the kind of custom, but we will do lots of comparisons between the two so that you really get a sense of what's been done with it. And just to address something before we get cracking, because I'm sure people will spot it through the video and then ask me about it, my copy, my original MPM Jazz, does have two right wing mirrors, which is really irritating. I think actually someone spotted it and pointed it out to me in a photo, and I hadn't even clocked it somehow. But yeah, it really it's one of those that since you notice it, it just bugs me eternally. Nothing I can do about it, but there you go. That's a very unusual thing though, and there fortunately doesn't seem to be the same problem with the copy from Melazoma. So yeah, let's have a look at it today. Alrighty then, in the box today we've got of course the toys themselves, the actual toy. This is the new version, not stunningly different so far in vehicle mode, as you can perhaps see, but it's when we get into the detail of it and the robot mode that you will see quite a big difference to the original on the left. Now, included here are of course all of the accessories that came with the original release, including the little running Sam, I suppose you should say, with his Allspark cube. He's a curious little thing, doesn't he? Doesn't really look like old Shia LaBeouf. He's kind of, I don't know, he's got a bit of a kind of generic look to him, but hey ho, there he is. And then I think some of the paint differences here and what Melazoma have done with this custom are going to become more apparent as we start to look at some of the detail, like on these accessories. So here's his kind of main weapon, and you can see already how different the paint is on here. Very detailed, looking really nice. And you know, just on the top here, picking out a lot of the kind of real little intricate molding going on that just kind of gets left unfinished a little bit on the official toy. You know, even this kind of little sort of almost crack going on here, which is purposeful by the way. You know, it's been filled in with really nice paint and just looking quite spectacular overall. You know, you can really see it as well if we flip these both over just on the underneath. You know, again, just what a difference that paint makes, you know, in between these two versions. And again, you know, this doesn't look bad at all, but it's when you see a paint job like this done that you realize how intricate some of this molding is. It looks superb. That's just to get a little close up there for you as well, so you can really kind of see what I'm talking about. I mean, you know, some of these little kind of gold highlights and everything there just look quite spectacular. I love how he's kind of picked out the detail on the little kind of, you know, sort of these little sections just there. And yeah, no, really, honestly, looks quite breathtakingly good. If only the official version looked as nice as that, eh? And perhaps that's even more evident on one of the more notorious accessories from this set, let's say. I mean, how many toys come with an accessory that's specifically designed to replicate their death scene? Not many, not many. That's fair to say. But anyway, here you've got, of course, his little spine from when he's torn in two by Megatron from the 2007 film. And again, you know, fantastic job done on this custom paint job just here. Looks superb, really nice bit of blue, lots of intricate paint in here, the wires, night and day difference. And again, just kind of getting in on some of the detail just there, I just honestly, I'm absolutely stunned by this thing and how good that looks. And you know, it's probably something that I never would have kind of necessarily thought about too much on the official toy, but looking at this, it's, you know, it's hard not to think that it would be great to see all of the Masterpiece toys done in, you know, painted in such nice detail. Anyway, here is the custom toy itself in vehicle mode, and as I say, you won't necessarily notice a lot of difference on the actual alt mode itself to the official version. You know, paint-wise, all of that, it looks pretty much the same, but still, it's a very attractive vehicle mode overall. I always think it's a little bit panel heavy in places, you know, like along here, for example. but actually it clips together so nicely and it feels really compact. It's a really good design in my opinion. Surprisingly clean too. I mean, realistically, very little kibble of any kind going on there. From whatever angle you look at this thing, it looks really quite tasty. And there's already some impressive real-world detailing going on here. Some, the mold itself really kind of makes the most of that without the need for kind of extra paint, if anything. Now, it's only when you kind of flip this guy over and start to have a look at the underneath, some of the robotic detailing, that you'll see a lot more of those paint applications that I'm talking about. So yeah, really can't wait to see that in action in the robot mode. So yeah, overall, not a stunning amount of difference between these two vehicle modes. This is the new one just here. It's been left fairly untouched, in its car form. There are a couple of little details, like they put a little license plate on the back and things like that, but it's once we get them transformed up, which we'll do now, that you'll start to appreciate a bit more of the difference, I think. So let's take a look. So yeah, that's transformation done, and if you've never seen MPM Jazz transform before, it's a great amount of fun. I really love this transformation. It's one of those that seems like it's going to be painfully fiddly, but actually it's not. It's a bit of a joy. I mean, there is a little bit of complexity in the old arms just there with how that all kind of comes together, but generally speaking, it's very clever. Particularly the way that this chest kind of rotates around twice. I absolutely love that. I remember doing it for the first time and just being absolutely amazed by how that sort of comes together. I think it's super clever. But anyway, we're not really here to discuss the figure itself so much today, more the paint job that this has been given, and it's looking really quite spectacular. Now, I already mentioned that a lot of the variation with this this custom versus the original was going to be more visible in the robot mode, and I think that is very evident here because, it's not like a completely different deco or anything like that. It's not that, what they've done is completely overhaul it. It's just, I would say, a major enhancement on what was already there. Just picking out a lot of the little detail, the kind of the molded kind of intricacies, let's say, adding a little bit of paint here and there, really nice wash, and just generally making it look a lot more premium than it already did. Now, nowhere is that more evident than up top here, because this whole section, all of this robotic detailing looks absolutely superb. A lot more paint than on the original, which I am looking at just now as a kind of comparison. We'll bring it on camera in just a minute, but I can tell you this looks a lot better to my eye. And again, it's one of those that the original actually looked pretty good. I did kind of like the paint on that, but I think it's just really this kind of little coat of paint. If anything, not even the highlights, just actually some of the darker sections, which has had a sort of nice silver wash added to it, that just really kind of brings it out and makes it look, again, a lot more premium, a lot more kind of, you know, a lot more well done. I mean, it's also true on areas such as the kind of belly and the crotch just around here. All of that wiring, everything's kind of really been pulled out a lot more than on the original again. And you know, as I say, it did have detailing there. It wasn't like there wasn't any paint, and we'll do a comparison again in a minute, but it's just been really drawn out. And again, I do think that it is because of some of the darker sections as well, just kind of creating that contrast a little bit. It looks fab. And just check out these feet, you know, with this really nice kind of gold on there. And you know, whereas before, you know, the paint actually, such as it was, I don't know, it just looked a bit flat and maybe not too vibrant. Now it really stands out and just looks almost metal, actually. Like, you could look at this thing and think that it was made of die cast or whatever else, and that's on account of the paint being used. And again, it just really makes me wish that this is how the actual toys looked when they were, you know, straight out of the factory. Again here, you know, on the arms, the elbows, these little circles, the little pistons and joints and cogs and, I don't know, all the mechanical stuff in there. Just, really, they've gone to town on it. You know, no element left, you know, without a dab of paint on it, which is really cool. Even on areas such as the back round here, you know, all of this stuff, it just looks really good overall. I think they, you know, they've done a great job with it. And just check out the face. I mean, actually, you can see a lot more detail on there than previously you could. So massive difference overall to the original. Now, the actual toy itself does have a visor, which is no longer there. So I presume that that's a purposeful choice of removing the visor and then, you know, obviously painting the eyes this kind of really nice blue. So they do stand out a lot. But yeah, overall, it looks good. So then here's a comparison with the actual toy, which of course is this one just here, in case it's not clear. And then this is the customized one. And I do hope that all of that extra paint and, you know, everything else going on there is kind of evident on camera. I think it's probably one of those that it shows up, you know, a lot more in hand. Just because of how spectacular it is, really. I mean, but you know, the difference is, whilst they are subtle, you know, they all add up and really kind of make a lot of impact. So, and for me, as I say, the biggest difference is that the thing actually looks metal now, as opposed to being quite obviously plastic in places. I mean, again, here, you know, you can really kind of appreciate all of the kind of extra detailing going on here. You know, the additional paint versus this one, and it does add up. You know, it really does make a huge difference. It's a great looking toy anyway, this version, but just this extra finish really kind of, you know, pushes it over the edge almost. As I say, I'm just kind of longing for toys that look like this, you know, versus you know, the official toys, which just don't have the same level of finish. It's a shame. I mean, I feel like someone's going to tell me about KOs, right? Someone's inevitably going to mention that, you know, you can get KOs of some of the official toys, or all of them, even that, you know, often have enhanced paint and things like that. And of course, I'm well aware. But you know, typically speaking, I do like having the official toys in my collection. That's just preference. You know, people feel differently about it. There's a whole debate about it. I'm not going to get into that today. But certainly it would be nice if indeed the official toys came with this kind of paint job. That is what I will say for today. Anyway, here is our customized Jazz with his little weapon in place as well. And as we've already looked at it, that you know, it just looks absolutely spectacular. Really big fan of that. And just overall, this customized version sings. And then if you forgive the kind of gory detail going on here, obviously we've just brought in this little accessory. I mean, there's a little button on the back of the hips and it splits the toy in two, and then you just add this bit in for the kind of spine, you know, to kind of create this ripped up detail, this ripped in half detail. You know, if you want two pieces and all of that jazz. But all of that jazz, that was unintentional. That was unintentional, I promise. Anyway, this thing here, this kind of spine accessory, it's just mind-blowing. Honestly, it just looks so good. Really, again, you know, I keep saying it over and over, but if the official toys look like this, woof, it would be something. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that this is a great design anyway. I love this toy, how it transforms. It's, you know, great fun. But big up to Melizomo, because they've really kind of brought out the absolute best in it with this paint job. It just soars. Really spectacular. So thank you very much to them for providing the custom for the video. And as I say, I will put a link to their site in their Twitter in the video description below, so do check them out. And do let me know what you think in the comments as well, whether it's about the toy, this custom, how you're doing today, whatever you fancy, I don't know. Otherwise, that's it from me. So enjoy the rest of your day, and TTFN.